don't serve average because everyone else is serving average. I mean, stand out from the rest. Do something differently. Have it differently, have it served differently. Being busy isn't enough. I mean, everyone is busy, so are the ants. But what are you busy doing? Don't confuse between productivity and activity. Don't confuse between emotion and an action. You can be very busy into an activity since morning till evening. But at the end of it, there is no productive end result. There is no productivity that comes out of that activity. So just have it differently. Just do it differently. Some people, there are people who are born, they live and they die without showing up at all. Not because they didn't have a chance, not because they would not have shown up, but simply because they chose, to have that average life that everyone else, was living, that everyone else is living. So rise above, have a legacy, have something. Rise above mediocrity. Don't live a mediocre life. Rise above mediocrity. So there are reasons, or maybe there are things that hinder people from giving out the best, as much as maybe some would wish. Some of the people maybe don't even realize why they are being hindered to giving out the best that they ought to have given, because they have the potential, yes, but they don't give out the best. So one of the reasons, and the most strong one, the most important one, is past failures. A past failure. So when you're into the ground, when you're really knocked hard to the ground, when you just, fail, let me say terribly, when you fail terribly, when you have that, a very hard knockout, some of us choose to remain there. You just relax there on the ground. You're like, hey, let me just take a rest just a little bit. After I rest, after I recover from this shock, I'll be back to my feet. Surprisingly, you don't even know how long it will take to your recovery. So you ain't alone. You're not alone. No one would want you to experience failure twice. But then there's a giant in you that needs awakening now and then. So when you're there in the ground, when you're there down to the ground, awaken that giant. Get back to your knees. Still press on. Still do something. You ain't supposed to be scared. Don't be scared for the many times that you fail. Sometimes you might fail even 5 times, thrice. But then don't be scared. Don't be scared to start all over. Don't be scared to start it afresh. Starting all over again isn't a big deal. I mean, don't be scared. Let me tell you one thing. All winners are losers. All winners are losers who refuse to remain down when failure knocked them down. At one point in their life, yes, they were knocked down. They were on the ground, like maybe you might be. But they didn't stay there. They rose again. They rose with their feet. So don't be scared to start all over. I mean, failure is just a chance to learn something that does not work at all. So you realize that you've been doing it the wrong way. Then you incorporate that thing that you had missed. And then you try it the second time. You miss again. You fail again. And then you're like, I really omitted this. Then you take it to incorporate to your plan. And then the third time it just goes through. So failure is a chance to learn something that does not work. And of course you learn the opposite. So you learn what works. And then you set things in motion. And then you go. As simple as that. Thomas Edison he was not afraid. Edison was not afraid at all for the mistakes that he did as he was trying to invent the light bulb. He was not afraid at all. And at one time, Thomas was asked, At one time, he was asked, "Hey Thomas, how many times did you fail? How many times did you fail when you're trying to invent the bulb?" Then Thomas, took some time. Then in response, he was like, "You know what? I have never failed. I have never failed." Then the audience was like, What are you talking about? And then he just made it so clear that I just discovered 10,000 ways that won't work, that did not work for me. 10,000 ways. Imagine all those times. He was not afraid of all those mistakes. Not work at all, at all. At all, at all. Keep on giving it your best. When you're knocked down, get back to your feet and give it your best again. Let me tell you one thing. Get prepared for the opportunity that has not yet come. Rather than being, in an opportunity that you had not prepared for at all. Just get that preparation. Just get that preparation. When opportunity meets preparation, I call that success. So when opportunity meets a preparation, that is success. As simple as it is. You have prepared enough. So when the opportunity crops up, you just set things in motion and you go. And that is it. It just goes through. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid at all. Then another way, or maybe another reason, is having a wrong attitude. Having a wrong attitude. Whenever someone is trying something new, maybe we can talk of the entry behavior, the starting behavior, how you start off wherever you want to venture into matters a lot. If you start off with a negative energy, a bad, a wrong attitude, then you can't even give it your effort, you can't give it your best, and therefore the end result will be just, what you're talking of, the mediocre results. So you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. You're just doing it because you're there. You're just doing that job because you found yourself there. As you wait, as you just holding on there, as you wait maybe for the next opportunity that God will present to you. Just give it your best. Do your best at that level as you also wait for another door to be opened by God. Stop having that wrong attitude about something. The starting off matters a lot. The attitude that you have towards what you're doing matters a lot. The energy that you channel into realizing, into accomplishing what you want, it all branches from that attitude that you have towards what you're doing. Then another way is laziness, or another reason. Laziness. There are some people who are very lazy. I don't know how you define, laziness, or maybe at what level would someone say someone is lazy. But there are some people who are very lazy, and now this even becomes worse when it is intertwined with, the wrong attitude. Imagine having a wrong attitude towards something, and then at the same time being lazy. There's no best effort. You'll never do any effort. You'll never channel any energy towards what you're doing. Therefore, you realize that the assignment that you've been given, they're not done at all. Sometimes you just don't do them. You're not into what you're not into what is on the table. So you just don't do those assignments. You're just lazy around. You don't feel like doing them at all. There's nothing that propels you to undertake that assignment. Deadlines are not met. You never meet the deadlines. Because, you must be pushed. You must push yourself. You must drag yourself every now and then. You're just doing it because they are deadlines. And after all, you don't even meet those deadlines. Laziness. You don't meet the targets. You don't achieve anything. At the end of it, failure becomes very imminent. The end result becomes failure. You're knocked down again very terribly. way is, maybe the background. Most importantly, the family background. Some of our younger generation, some of our youths maybe have been brought up in wealthy families, and therefore they've just been pushed from one level of education. They've just have had that transition from one stage to the other one, from one institution to the other one, and then they just find themselves to places of to work. They just found themselves to an institution, to a company. So some of them are not working towards realizing anything. After all, to them, they have money, and money can buy everything that they really need at that moment. They have happiness. They can spend that money. They can afford anything that they want. So they just work for the sake of being there. They're just being there. There's nothing that is propelling them from inside. There's nothing that they really want to achieve. There's nothing that they want. There's nothing that they really want to give out. They're not working towards giving out that best that you're talking about. So you realize, to them it is just a matter of being there. They cling so much to their parents' wealth until working for their own wealth is just an issue. It is like another dream. They just have everything. So such people, unless they come to the realization, unless something dawns on them, unless they have a new dawn, unless they come to realize, they come into terms with this aspect of giving out the best, then it would take eternity. Actually, it will take eternity. It will take eternity for them to realize that they were supposed to give out the best. So that upbringing, the upbringing sometimes matters a lot. It contributes also to giving out our best, to what we do, to how best we're working towards realizing our goals. So, my dear viewer, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail terribly. After all, you said that you didn't fail, you just realize some ways that won't work, that don't work, that will never work. So after you realize 5 ways that did not work for you, opt for the 6th one. Go for the 6th one. You'll be surprised. The 6th one will just go through.